Welcome back to Friday Coffee Talks. We are here for episode number 40. I cannot believe it. And for today, we have something really special for you. So I've been wanting to do it for a while, and we're going to start today. I'm going to start mixing in a little bit more of a podcasty type interview. I figure I work with a lot of great people. I really enjoy talking to them, and I think you will as well. So for episode 40, we've got our very first somewhat more lengthy interview with a good friend of mine. So without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Tyler Osborn. All right. Well, we are joined today by a Texan, a salesman, a father, a husband, a dinosaur enthusiast, a bourbon man, a jerky lover. What else can I say? It's Tyler Osborn.
Play cards too.
Oh, a gambler, of course. How could I forget gambling? Tyler, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal intro. Probably the best one I've ever had. It's an honor. Long-time watcher, first-time caller. So super pumped to be on.
Very first guest in this format. So thank you for being my guinea pig. I really appreciate you joining.
Cheers.
Yeah. Hey, we got coffee going. Look at that. All right. So let's get right to it. Tyler, catch me up. Catch the viewers up. The people want to know. Give me a little bit about your backstory, how you got to where you are.
Well, from Texas, grew up in Texas, almost went to Texas, ended up in Louisiana for a while in college. And we dabbled in a lot of things. But after 6 years, we made it out and was an accountant for a little bit of all things. Here I am now. Liked it probably more than most people would like accounting. So I'm not here to disparage the accounting world. Y'all do super cool stuff. But after like a year and a half or so, I realized it probably wasn't for me for the next 40 years. Liked my boss a lot, but it was a scenario where I looked at my boss and I said, if everything goes great, that'll be me in 20 years. Now, would I be happy with that? And I realized probably not. My uncle at the time, he worked for Dell and he worked for Pure Storage, and I wanted to come back to Austin. And he said, hey, why don't you check out tech? And I was 25, I guess, 24. Like I said, I spent a while in college. So eventually came back and got into it. And yeah, I have to say, very happy with the choice. So thank you, Uncle Chad, now at Arctic Wolf plug.
Uncle Chad.
Yeah.
And how about getting to StorMagic? What led you there? Led you here, I guess I should say.
All roads lead to Mexico, definitely. No, the whole, I guess to round out the story, went to SHI. Good time there, learned a lot. Obviously came from accounting to never had been in sales, didn't know a lick about tech. So all things considered, a great spot to get your feet wet and learn everything, around the ecosystem. I knew after a while there that I wanted to move, the PC way to put this, something where you're more just free, I guess, to somewhere smaller, let's say, is what I was kind of looking for. Where you can just grow into yourself. That's cliche or cheesy, I guess. But so I went to a startup.
Blossom like a beautiful butterfly.
Yeah. I'm gonna drop like all kinds of plugs on this, just at like 19 people. So I went to a company called Hive.io after that, who was the extreme version of that. It was a startup to be a field rep for really the whole Western US, and had an awesome time there. Really cool team, a lot of really good people that I was surrounded by. And, some success. It's a startup, so it's a big spag, but it allowed me a chance to really grow into my sales career, I guess.
Yeah.
So I got to go all over, meet a lot of people, every part of that ecosystem, where previously I was focused, sell this bag of products to these customers in this geo. I got the opportunity to meet, the rest of manufacturers that we'd work with. I got the opportunity to meet, all the partner community outside of the people I'm familiar with. meet people, even, in vendor space, or people that are set up conferences, working with those people, meet people in governments. I've never done anything in government. So just really broadened my horizons, and liked it a lot. And throughout meeting all these people, I met a fella named Carlos, who worked for a company that went defunct. And he had a bunch of pipeline in Latin America and in Texas as well. And somehow or another, our paths crossed. I can't even remember how. And Carlos called me, and this was before he was at StorMagic, and he was like, "Hey, I got no product, but a lot of pipeline, for like the hyperconverged market," and I was selling hyperconverged infrastructure. He wanted to learn a little bit more about what we did, see if it made sense to introduce to people. I like to maintain contacts with folks. So we worked a little bit. I went down to Mexico, he introduced me to some partners. Actually never met Carlos, but then, 2 years went by, or a year and a half. And he came to StorMagic, and it's, again, I don't know how many cliches I'll drop, but it's one of those things you never know. Carlos called me and said, "Hey, we're hiring in Texas. We're for the Central. Would you be interested?" And I was like, "Well, maybe." StorMagic sounds a little wonky, but let's learn a little bit about it. And then, yeah, 2 years later, here I am.
Here we go.
And on then, Friday Coffee Talks.
And then 2 months ago, your paths got to really cross with Carlos. You guys got to meet.
I finally met Carlos. And what's so great is I mean, I don't know how many people have had like friends you've never met, or just acquaintances of, I guess it could be a woman, could be a relationship, could be anything. And you finally meet for the first time. Carlos, I'm not equating you to a long distance girlfriend, but I was friends with Carlos for like 2.5 years. And I thought I really liked the guy, but you never really know until you look somebody in the eyes. But I got to meet Carlos. What was that now? 2 months ago?
Yeah. It seems like it was last week, but yeah.
Lived up to all my expectations. It was fantastic. That's came on board at the start of COVID, so I had never got to meet in person, and we finally got to get together. And Carlos brought a bottle of mezcal from Mexico for us, and
on brand.
It was it was delicious.
So accounting, or LSU for a while, to accounting, to sales. How did that transition into sales meet your expectations, or compare to what you expected it to be?
Like, I mean, there's pros and cons to each, I guess. And I like to think I carried something from my accounting background with me. I would say the coolest thing, and it's what I told people when I was first at SHI, and you're first getting into it, and it was a bunch of other kids that were either fresh out of college or a year or two after. There's bad parts about sales. Obviously, anyone that's been in sales would tell you. But I will say, yeah. Going through the crappy parts in sales, I still would wake up like pretty excited every day. And it's still true to this day. I hope it's true 10 years from now. But you still wake up because, goodness knows what's going to flow in through the inbox. There might be someone might call you with whatever, but I get excited about every day. And that's probably the biggest difference to me. And it's what I would tell. I used to wake up we started work at 7. So I'd wake up at 5:45 and put a suit on and go work an account. And I'd wake up every morning, and if anybody for any weird reason at the place I worked is listening to this, love all you guys, love the people, but it's just not a job that I'd wake up like excited to go into work that day. It was like, what's on the docket today? We're going to close out the month. That's going to be hell. I'll be here till 7.
Get that like fire in your belly going.
Yeah. I never woke up like, yes.
Numbers.
End of month journal entries. Let's reconcile some accounts. And there's bad days in sales, but that's like early on. That's kind of what I would tell people that was their first gig or second gig. I said, it might, some of it's a personality type, but it's something where it can be exciting every day. So in that respect, I was very, very pleased, and still am to this day, on making that transition.
Well, good. So I guess on the topic of advice, what are some like of the great nuggets that you've gotten through your career? What's some of the best advice you've gotten?
It's funny. So my wife said something yesterday, and we
The
had
best
talked a
advice you've
little.
ever gotten, you got yesterday.
No, it's just so funny that it's so timely.
I'm kidding.
There's been a bit, but the I guess real quick backstory is it's sales, right? You have good weeks, bad weeks. So there's, not too long ago was a little frustrated with some things, right? And I was like, things are going well, but you're always going to have bad weeks. And I was like, damn, you start thinking like what am I doing wrong? What can I, and there's always room for improvement. And then, next week, have a great week. So I'm talking to my wife, and I was just, gets to hear all the, when I walk inside the, my sounding board or whatever. And she's like, oh, they ain't all going to be good weeks. You do what you can to make them as good as you can possibly make them, and account for, everything you can account for. And then, you fix anything you can and move on from there. I don't know if that's going to say the best advice, but it happened like 2 days ago. So yeah. I was like, yeah, that's true. I'd say other than that, I got a lot of bad advice, which I think floats around in the sales community when you're young. It's very prevalent.
Coffees for closers.
Yeah, well, that's good advice. But there's all sorts of, gimmicks, and you got to do this, you got to do that. And I think there's bits and pieces that you can take from all those, and maybe they are relevant, but subscribing completely to some of the stuff you hear when you're, 26, 27 years old, not that I'm 30 years tenured, but like if I'm thinking back to some of the things I heard and I was like, maybe I should do that. It's like, no, don't do that. That's dumb as hell. That is being told to you by someone that's not, just don't listen to that. Is taking the good things out of a lot of these messages or people that are successful. I've talked to you a bit about this, but building them into your own, being authentic, really, I think is what it comes down to, but building them into your own voice and messaging. There's definitely processes and things you can do to be better, but I think to just regurgitate them and I read it in a book and now I say it, it comes off as inauthentic, and no one wants to, interact even in on a casual basis. So someone's inauthentic. So I think that would be probably one of the best.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, books by sales experts are great, but you're not them and you don't have their experience. So taking the stuff that you can and integrating it with some other stuff you found over here and making it yours, I think that's great advice.
Someone did tell me that early on, even at SHI. One of my managers, he's like, hey, these are all great things, but you got to make them your own, just because Joe Schmo, it's worked for them. This guy might be in the New York City financial market selling to like investment bankers. You might have some good ideas, but they may not play perfectly well selling into the Iowa IT community. But there's some nuggets from there that you can take out and ingrain them in how you do things. And then I think it's just again cliche, but like just be honest or transparent or genuine is probably the best word with people.
Yeah, no, I love it. All right, so
but you do great.
Oh, well, thank you. So let's come back to sales, but in the meantime, I want to take a second and let's talk about Tyler outside of work. What are some of the things that you like to spend your spare time with? New baby at home, lots of dogs.
Well, that's that's some spare time. What do you mean? It's new baby at home. I mean, baby's a lot of it right now,
Yeah, sure.
which is
Well,
awesome.
she's pretty cute, so
Pretty damn cute. Favorite thing with the baby right now is bath time, which I guess I can parlay into what I in free time. What I really like is anything water centric. So rivers. I mean, I live in San Marcos, which is a little outside Austin, but there's multiple rivers that come around here. So anything involving particularly fishing, floating, and well, maybe beer drinking by the river it would be top three. But lakes, rivers, oceans, anything with those baths.
doesn't matter how big
can,
the body of water is. You just want to be in it.
no, some puddles out back. We'll go jump around in those. Probably my favorite thing, and it's part of the reason why we moved down here, was just to be close to be able to do that on a Friday afternoon, go down Wednesday morning, Tuesday afternoon. It's where I'm filming this from right now. I have the background. Other than that, be remiss if I didn't get a good how about them Cowboys in. Big football fan. Try to make it to a game or two as often as possible. And then board games, outside games.
That's interesting. I didn't know you were into board games.
I don't know if we ever talked. Well, that's me. So me and my wife, that's like the go-to, especially during the week. Bust out some board game and play over a glass of wine or two.
Which one have you played the most? What's the like?
We play Sequence a lot. You ever played Sequence?
Yeah, Sequence is good. Yeah,
that game gets us frustrated at ourselves more than anything. When you're like, damn, I should have done this. We bought a game that we've been playing a lot. I feel bad for not remembering it, so I can give them a plug. It's called War of the Roses. Well, it's around War of the Roses. Hard to find good 2-player games. So I would say if someone makes it this far in the video, if you catch this clip and have a good suggestion for a 2-player game, put it down in the comments. That'd be great.
There we go. Yeah.
I love Stratego as a 2-player game. That's a callback. I think that's an older game, but not a lot of ones explicitly for 2 players that are super fun.
So I have to tell you a story about that. So when I was in,
you're a Stratego fan.
No, not necessarily Stratego. I mean, Stratego's good. I'm not going to say it's not. But when I was a senior in high school, there was this math class that I think there were like 8 of us in. And we had this teacher, this young professor who had just graduated from Georgia Tech, was like, a couple years out of school, and he was awesome. Like everybody loved him. And so every Friday we played a game called Diplomacy. Have you done Diplomacy?
I have not.
It's similar to Risk, but it's all turn-based.
Oh, that's my favorite.
So yeah, I know. So we would do and it's all about World War II. So you would in Diplomacy, you have to write out all of your army.
But it's not Axis. It's not like Axis and Allies.
No, it's different.
Okay, different.
So you play a season at a time. So they collect all the orders from all the players, and then they read off all the orders at one time, and they make all the moves. And so in the meantime, between your order,
writing it down.
Yeah, you have to discuss with other countries and make plans and treaties and stuff. And so we would play 3 turns every Friday. So then we'd have the whole rest of the week to negotiate, backstab.
That's a hell of a teacher.
Oh, dude, it was so fun. That was a blast.
Yeah, that's a some you can always remember your really good teachers.
Yeah. Shout out Mr. Aguilera. Love that guy.
There you go, Mr. Aguilera. Put him in the comments too.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. I wrote it down. Those are my favorite. I mean, we've talked. We still need to get the Risk game started. If any,
we tried.
Yeah, if anybody wants to join, we start a Friday Risk game. But look me up, Biff Munch 28, Grandmaster ranked. It's an auto-generated name. I'm ready to play. It is an auto-generated name, I promise.
Oh man! All right, so moving from that a little bit. So obviously,
how are you going to hard pivot from Biff Munch 28,
Biff Munch 28 back to COVID? Yeah. So COVID hit everybody differently. Obviously for us that kind of lived on the road before, it was a big transition. Did you find it easy to work from home for a year and a half, or were you just itching to get back on the road the whole time?
My initial thought is yes, get back on the road. I think if you've done it for a little bit, it's just well, I guess a lot of the time, I mean, I'm trying to think the best way to, like, I like being on the road. I like going out to meet people. I love going to new places, going to learn about what people are doing. And the best way to do that is in person. Um, I would say like two things where it's particularly, I think, um, detrimental is meeting with our partners.
Yeah.
There used to be, there's something about sitting down, and I've got to do it more lately. And but sitting down with a collection of partners and you talk through some things, and you know, have lunch or have a beer or whatever, and things click while you're there, as you're mentioning things, and it just comes up in like side conversation all the times, and says, I was talking one of my customers 2 weeks ago who was saying, you know, X, Y, and Z scenario. That sounds like it makes a lot of sense. That happens, I think, a lot more organically and better in person. And it's been tricky to remedy that with everyone being remote. You can go
Yeah,
somewhere and
absolutely.
meet, yeah, a person or two, but it's been a challenge, I think, for everybody, and not just even IT sales, probably all sales.
Yeah, the world.
Um, yeah, yeah. The earth. I mean, there's obviously a lot of benefits. So prior to this, I worked from home still, but just traveled a lot more. Now the work from home, you'll never hear me say anything bad about that. It's the
No,
best thing
me
ever.
neither. Yeah.
Do kind of miss, you know, I chat with you and some of our colleagues on a regular basis. Um, you know, some of the camaraderie, but I think at least us as a company have found good ways to make up for it. We have a lot of fun together still. Um, with customers, still obviously a ton of value, and I would prefer to go meet every customer in person. Um, but you can get a lot done. I mean, there's no
Yeah.
way around that. You know, and not every customer particularly wants to spend copious amounts of time, as much as I'd love to wish they would. Um, it's a detriment, but I've, you know, people have got their situations, you know, set up, and their offices, and I feel like I can still connect pretty well with people. I've got a few customers that I've never met in person, but I still feel like I'm very close with, and you know, talk with on a regular basis, have the video on, whatever else it is. So I say mixed bag. I think we all like to get out there, though. You know, at the end of the day, if I can go have lunch with someone, that's the dream scenario.
I think that's reasonable. I mean, it's been a year and a half. I don't think at the beginning of this I could have foreseen myself being as comfortable with this as I am now.
Look at
Or
us. You got a
less
long
less like
beard. I got long
yeah,
hair.
right.
We're getting
But
too comfortable.
like I could the concept of closing like a big enterprise deal without ever having met somebody was like nope, totally impossible. I would have written it off before,
Yeah.
but we've done it. So
Yeah.
it's
It's
crazy,
wild.
man.
I mean, it has you reevaluating, a little bit. I mean, I would argue that nothing really, a face to face, more important than the face to face, I think, is the, um, when you're sitting with someone having lunch, a lot of, or dinner or whatever it is, a lot of conversations just organically come out, and you start
Yeah.
talking about whatever else, whatever else. For I don't know why it doesn't happen as much, particularly with people you're not hyper familiar with. You know, when you got a webcam on like this. So I think that's what we miss more than anything, is you go down some tangents on, you know, whatever else, and end up talking about, you know, minor league baseball or whatever it might be, and you have like the same favorite player. There's a little more, stick to the script, I think, on video, where it's like
Yeah.
we're here for an hour meeting, let's stay on topic, and we deviate and talk about things, but not as much as you would do, at like a happy hour. But through those conversations of, when you go down a path, a lot of times, even you know, you'll end up on something, and it'll circle all the way back to business, and it'll like remind you of something else. that's what I said. I think with partners is where you really miss it.
Yeah.
Because you could be talking about goodness knows what, and it could spark trigger something. And then next thing you know, you're talking, it reminds them or you of somebody that had conversation 3 weeks ago that might be relevant. So yeah,
Well, I
hopefully we
think
get
even more
there. We'll
importantly from
see.
that is you have those conversations, and then 3 weeks from that, they remember that piece of it.
Yeah, that's
And
true too.
it's that's not in your slides, it's the stuff that
Those are the
happens
best, aren't
afterwards.
they?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we have a lot of it's happened with the few of the good partners we have out there where I mean, you say 3 weeks. I've had a
Oh,
couple.
yeah.
I'm sure you have too, where 7 months later, someone emails you after something you did and says, "Hey, man, I just had a thought. Like we talked about this a while back. Whatever happened? I was walking on the street and I saw the customer's sign or whatever it is. They were telling me that X, Y, and Z, and you're like, oh, that's fantastic.
Like, yes, I did something right.
Thank you, previous me.
So, as somebody who has spent probably as much time on the road as I have, you've got to have some good travel stories. What are some of your best stories from the road that can be as PG-13 as you want? It's up to you.
As PG-13. Let's see. I do. So I don't know who's listening to this. Let's see. What well, there's a couple of things I like to do when I'm on the road. I think this story I'm going to say isn't related to either, but as a preface, like to try to see a sports game of some sort,
Okay.
if possible, in that city. Like I said, one of the best things about travel for me is seeing. I was just in South Dakota recently. I had never been South Dakota, so you try to check out a few new things. See what the city's like, and it's awesome. You meet new people and kind of broaden your horizons a bit. So if I'm in a city, a good way to do that is go to a sports game. Either a baseball game, usually if there's someone playing, or a hockey game. Football game a little trickier on the weekend usually, but seen a lot of baseball and hockey in particular, which are really fun. The other thing I like to do, if possible, is go to a casino.
Oh, yeah.
You got to check it out, right?
Yeah.
Some better than others. Some of your states, my state doesn't have it at all, so I'm not one to talk, but we need to loosen up about serving drinks at the tables or taking Annies on every deal. I don't know about that, but those are two of the things I really like to do, and it's more just like get out and see. Then I'll try to see if there's a particularly good museum or something if I have time. Usually that's like Friday before the flight. I'll try to wake up and go. One of my favorites, though, I mentioned about speaking in cliches. Well, I think this is like you never know. It's just A, the goodness of people, and B, like you just never know when a bad day can turn into a good day. I got snowed in at the airport in New York. I was up there for a meeting, and it was terrible, like absolutely terrible. I think it was at LaGuardia, and everyone was sleeping on the ground, and we were stuck. And I was like, "What the devil am I gonna do? Can't get out of here until I think it's 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. the next day or whatever." So, I was like, what do you do besides look at nearest Irish pubs? That's clearly the move there. Speaking of shout outs, Nugent's in New Jersey or New York, whatever the one by LaGuardia is, closest one I could get to. And man, I can't remember if I walked or I found a taxi that could at least take me there, because taxis weren't, it was like an hour and a half wait for taxis. Went to Nugent's probably around like 9 or whatever it was, and they knew people were snowed in and stuck. The kind folks at Nugent's stayed open all night, and just it was me, a couple of really nice bartenders, and a couple other patrons that were also snowed in. Introduced me to my favorite whiskey now, which is Angel's Envy. The most hospitable folks that I could possibly imagine. They were pouring us drinks all night. Let us hang out at Nugent's. But it was awesome. It turned what was a really crappy night into like one of my favorite nights ever, where I hung out at a bar all night with some really nice people that welcomed us, and they said, "Oh man, y'all are in a bad situation. Come on in, let's have fun. You can hang out here. You can sit in our booth and rest it off. If you want to snooze there, great." And then
That's cool.
every time I've been back since, I make sure to go to Nugent's because they treated me so well.
Do they have a sleeping bag with a plaque with your name on it on the wall?
No, there is a guy. I wish I could remember his name right now. I feel bad that I can't. He's been a bartender there forever, but he also like makes music on his laptop.
That was perfect timing.
He took for this just might have been like 3 a.m. He was showing me his music that he makes. And for like 2 years after, he'd send me like new tracks he made. He's probably 75. Yeah, probably 75. And but I the guy, nicest guy. So I'd always listen to it and be like, hey, I can't remember his name right now. I feel bad. Hey James, that sounds good, man. Keep sending them. I hope if you're out there, guy, I hope you're still alive and still making music.
Mr. Nugent.
that is Ted himself.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. So as we're kind of wrapping it up, let's go back to sales just for a minute. You talked about some of the advice that you got in, pulling things from here and there to make yourself you. What do you think are some of the things that you've learned that have made you a better seller? Like what makes you stand out as a successful salesperson?
I guess the two, well, the one biggest, I don't know if you can, it's not a teachable thing. As I still get like I super excited about things. I think that more than anything probably helps me on a day-to-day basis. When someone says, we have this going on, it's not an artificial excited, and it's not even an excited, just like, oh, this is a good deal. It might, pay well. It's like, I am super excited about this project being successful, in these stores or this aircraft carrier, or whatever it is. Like I'm super jacked about it. And the other thing, I used to say this at SHI quite a bit. They would say be genuinely curious. I don't know if you can tell people to do that, and it just like it might just be something that's again like built into you, but it's something that luckily I have in this respect at least, is I'm very interested in things too. So I don't know if that's like a teachable thing, but those two things in particular, being super curious about what potential customers or even partners or whoever else is doing, and wanting to learn more about it, and then pairing that with being super pumped to try to make that happen, or whatever their goal is and how can we get to that.
Yeah,
those would probably be the two most. If someone comes to me and says like, this is what's going on, I ping you probably. And I was like, this is awesome, man. We got like,
I've gotten
this
plenty of
one
those calls.
t-shirt. Yeah. Where I mean, I get really, even for, I mean, for deals that, every deal's a good deal, first of all. But deals that make no substantial difference in like, quotas or incomes or whatever else. I still get super jacked about them because I think it's very interesting to me, and I want to learn more about what they're trying to do, and like I feel like personally invested in
Right.
like making it successful, and that's not, that I didn't artificially make that to make me a better salesman, but I think that's helped me in sales, because if you want the customer to be successful, well, I mean, if customers successful, they're happy, and then that breeds more success, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it goes along with what you were saying earlier about being genuine.
Yeah.
It's super easy to tell when somebody is being fake and, lying through their teeth, which is the reputation that salespeople have.
Yeah.
So to show up and I love that word, genuinely curious, to want to know more about what they're doing and how you can help. And then on the other side of that, like you said, not being super excited about your commission check or,
Well,
whatever.
I'm excited about it if it's good.
Sure. But
it
also
honestly
being happy
is,
for,
yeah.
like you're making a difference in people's jobs and in their lives. Like that's cool.
No, I told Autumn that the other day. Autumn's my wife, for anybody out there. Beautiful lady, love her to death, taking care of our kid outside right now. Is I was, again, she's like my sounding board for any emotion I have during the day. So I came inside and I was like, I used to think I was kind of financially motivated. We're in sales, we are. But more than, maybe, I don't know, more than that, but maybe more than that, actually. I love to see like a project come from like an idea, we'd like to accomplish this, to we have done it, and these are the results. Like when we get those emails, that gets me so pumped. I got one the other day from a customer, and they said, hey, we're super happy, that we went with you guys. This is what we've seen. And they listed, the improvements in their business processes and speed and all kinds of other things. That is such a good feeling. And I think that's what helps motivate me going forward too. And, financials is good too. Like, that's obviously a driver.
Okay. So, in what is going to be our traditional last question, we're here on Friday Coffee Talks. What is your go-to coffee order when you're out at a shop?
Is Irish coffee an option?
Sure. Yeah.
Out at a shop. I mean, I usually just get an espresso, like, and just straight espresso. I hate to be like
that's it.
Yeah, double shot of espresso. I hate to be like the boring person that doesn't have something
boring.
fancy. I mean, no, that's what I do every morning.
Your veins.
it's a utility thing. That's my morning thing. Is I make a double espresso. The afternoons are, what do we got? Two Rivers flavored coffee sampler. Who knows what you're gonna get?
Yeah,
but yeah, the espresso is the go-to.
Okay.
I gotta make another little plug. The Carajillo it's a espresso with liquor 43. That's what you need at about 3 p.m. That's one of my favorites. Found it, and I think it's getting more prevalent in the US. It might be everywhere, I just may not know, but in Mexico City we found it. That's awesome.
Okay. Well, Tyler, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for being on Friday Coffee Talks. Great interview. Wonderful to talk with you. And thanks, man.
Yeah, pleasure. Cheers, bud.
Thanks, buddy. Cheers.